Hello everyone, and welcome. In today's video, you're about to discover a method that could completely change how you approach learning English. This isn't just for a short time or just for exams. It's for your entire life. What we're going to discuss today is not about memorizing complicated grammar rules or learning a massive list of words. It's not about shortcuts or quick fixes. This is about building a system within you, a new version of yourself, where speaking English becomes a part of your daily routine, happening everywhere, without overthinking. Maybe you are someone who says, I understand English, but when I try to speak, I forget the words. I keep translating in my head. I've been learning for years, but I'm still not confident. If that sounds like you, then this video is exactly what you need. You are not lazy. You are not weak. You are not a failure. You simply lack one key thing, a habit. And once you establish that habit, speaking English will feel as natural as brushing your teeth or walking. No more fear, no more confusion, and no more silence. Stick with this video until the end because each part is a piece of the puzzle, and the final picture will be your fluency in English. This is not just a video. This is your roadmap, your blueprint, to go from a stuck learner to someone who speaks English with confidence, clarity, and ease. If you're serious about your growth, if you're tired of feeling stuck, then stop everything else and focus on this video. If you find it valuable, don't forget to subscribe to our channel because we're building a global community where English is not just learned but lived. Let's start with an important truth that no one tells you. English is not a skill, it's a habit. Many people believe that fluency in English is something that you can suddenly achieve, like winning a prize. They think that if they study hard enough, they will magically become fluent. But that's not how fluency works. Fluency is not a moment or a test. It's not a level you reach. It's a system your brain creates over time by doing the same thing repeatedly until it becomes automatic. Think about your first language. Do you plan your sentences before speaking? Do you try to remember each word? Of course not. You just speak because it's a habit that your brain has built over many years of use. Now, here's the key. If English is not part of your daily system, it will never feel natural. No matter how many books you read or how many classes you attend, it won't become second nature. Let's compare English to something simple, brushing your teeth. You don't need motivation to brush your teeth. You don't need to remind yourself. You don't analyze it. You just do it because it's a habit. Nobody wakes up and says, I need to remember how to brush my teeth today, or how do I hold the toothbrush? No, you just pick it up and start brushing. That's how speaking English should feel. Now, compare this. You want to speak English, but you're not using it every day. You overthink every word. You wait for motivation. You only practice when you feel inspired. That's not a habit. It's just a wish. And wishes don't lead to fluency. Systems do. Now that you know English is not just a skill but a habit, let's talk about something that might be holding you back: translation. This is the silent enemy of fluency. You may not even realize it's happening, but it's affecting your confidence every time you speak. The thing is, translation happens quietly. It doesn't shout, but it whispers in your mind. Think about it. When you try to speak English, your brain goes into overdrive. You have the idea in your head. You know what you want to say? But before the words come out, your brain first builds the sentence in your native language. Then it searches for the correct English words. Then it worries if the sentence sounds right. And by the time all of this happens, the moment is gone. The conversation has moved forward. Your mind is blank, and you stay silent. All you can say is, sorry, I don't know how to say it. But here's the truth, you did know. The reason you didn't say it was because you were stuck in translation. You were stuck trying to convert everything into your native language first. When children learn their first language, they don't translate. They simply hear sounds, repeat them, and slowly build a connection between the word and the object or experience. They don't think about how to say water in another language. They see water, they hear the word water, and they say water. There's no translation. There's only association. This is how fluency works. But as adults, we try to speak English by translating first. We build the sentence in our own language, then search for the words in English. This creates friction. It makes speaking slow and unnatural. And fluency dies in friction. The solution? Stop translating. Start thinking in English. It's not about translating every word in your head. It's about connecting your thoughts directly to English expressions. Instead of asking, "How do I say this in English?" ask, "How do I say this in English?" The more you practice, the more natural it will feel. Here's a small example to get you started. If you want to say, "I want to drink water," don't think about the translation in your first language. Just say it in English. "I want to drink water." Don't pause. Don't translate. Just say it. And do this every day. The more you do it, the more your brain will stop asking for translation and start thinking directly in English. Now that you understand the importance of thinking in English and breaking free from translation, let's dive into the next crucial step: creating a daily system for practicing English. This is where things get interesting. We are going to build something that you can do every day, no matter how busy you are, that will naturally make English a part of your life. The truth is, fluency is not built by motivation alone. Motivation can get you started, but it won't take you far. Motivation fades, and moods change. But what keeps you going when motivation fades? A system. Systems are what create lasting change. They are the key to building habits and making progress, no matter how you feel. Let's begin by thinking about your daily routine. Think about everything you do throughout the day: waking up, eating breakfast, walking to work or school, talking to friends, or relaxing in the evening. All of these things are already part of your daily system. Now, let's figure out how to add English to this system, so it becomes natural and automatic. The key is to connect English to things you already do every day. You don't need to find extra time in your day to practice English. Instead, you're going to attach English to your regular habits. Let me give you a few examples of how to do this. When you wake up in the morning, say one sentence in English. You can choose something simple, like, "Today is a new day, and I will speak more English." You don't need to think about it. You don't need to memorize it. You just say it out loud. Start small. You don't need to speak for hours. Just one sentence will activate your brain and get you started for the day. Now, let's talk about your daily activities. Let's say you're making your morning tea or coffee. As you're doing this, describe your actions in English. For example, "I'm boiling water." "I'm making tea." "The water is getting hot." It's simple, but it works. You are practicing without pressure. You're making it part of your natural flow. Another good example is when you're getting ready for the day. Look in the mirror and say one thing you see or feel. Maybe you say, "I look tired today, but I will do my best." Or, "I feel good. I will be productive today." It doesn't matter what you say. The important thing is that you're speaking in English. You're speaking to yourself in English, and this helps build your confidence. When it's time for lunch, describe your meal in English. You might say, "This food is spicy. It's delicious. I made it myself." Even if you're just talking to yourself, it counts. It's practice. You're building a system that forces your brain to use English automatically. What about when you're walking or commuting? Speak to yourself about what you see or feel. For example, "The weather is warm today. That dog is running. I need to get to work." These sentences are not perfect. You don't need to worry about grammar. The goal is to speak, to activate your mouth and brain to use English naturally. If you're waiting for a bus or train, you can describe what's around you, what you're feeling, or what you're thinking. This might feel a little strange at first, but that's okay. The more you do it, the more natural it will feel. Once you're at work or school, talk about your day in English. Maybe it's after a meeting or class. You could say, I wrote a report today. I had a long conversation with my colleague. It was interesting. It's simple, but it keeps your brain engaged with English throughout the day. The idea is to make English part of your daily life, not just something you study when you have extra time. English should be something that's integrated into everything you do. It should feel natural. You don't need to set aside hours to practice. You need to find moments in your day when you can speak and think in English. One mistake many learners make is setting unrealistic goals. They think they need to speak English for an hour every day, or they expect to become fluent in a few weeks. This is not the way to build lasting fluency. Fluency doesn't come from big bursts of motivation or short periods of intense study. It comes from consistent, small actions over time. That's why I recommend starting with a small daily routine. Pick one simple task, like speaking one sentence when you wake up or describing what you see around you. Do this every day, and, most importantly, don't worry about being perfect. The goal is not perfection. The goal is repetition. The more you repeat these small actions, the more your brain will adapt to thinking in English, and over time, your fluency will improve. As you continue this routine, you'll start to notice something amazing. English won't feel like an extra task or something you're trying to force. It will start to feel automatic. And when it feels automatic, that's when fluency happens. By creating a daily system around English, you're giving yourself the best chance for success. This is how you turn English from something you study into something you live. Now that you understand how to make English a natural part of your daily routine, let's talk about a crucial element that will help you become fluent: repetition. The truth is, repetition is the key to mastery. It's the secret behind how fluent speakers become fluent, and it's the same secret you can use to improve your English. The more you practice something, the more your brain gets used to it. This is true for any skill, whether it's speaking English, playing an instrument, or even learning how to ride a bike. In fact, your brain rewires itself through repetition. Every time you practice, the neural connections in your brain become stronger, making the action easier and more automatic. But here's the challenge. Many people think they can learn English by studying for a few hours or watching a few videos. They expect to become fluent quickly. But this method often doesn't work. Why? Because fluency isn't about short bursts of studying. It's about creating a ritual of consistent practice over time. That means doing something every day, even when you don't feel like it. Fluency is built on a system of daily repetition, and you need to create this ritual in your life. Let me give you an example. Think about the greatest athletes or musicians. They didn't become the best by practicing for a few hours each week. They practiced every single day, even when they were tired or didn't feel like it. Kobe Bryant, for example, didn't just practice basketball once in a while. He practiced for hours every day. He would shoot the same shots, repeat the same drills, and put in the time, day after day. This repetition is what turned him into one of the best basketball players in history. English works the same way. To improve your speaking, you need to repeat it every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. You need to build a ritual of practice that becomes automatic. This ritual will change the way your brain thinks about English. It won't be something you struggle with or force yourself to do. It will become as natural as brushing your teeth or walking. Now, how do you create this ritual? It's simple. Start small. Repeat simple sentences every day. These sentences don't have to be complicated or perfect. They just need to be something you can say confidently. For example, you might say, I am learning English every day. Or, I like to speak English because it connects me with others. These are easy sentences, but the more you repeat them, the more confident and fluent you'll feel. Pick a few sentences that you can say every day. Repeat them out loud as often as possible. Say them while you're walking, while you're brushing your teeth, or even while waiting for the bus. The key is to practice whenever you can. The more you repeat these sentences, the more they will stick in your mind, and the easier it will be for you to speak in English naturally. You don't need to memorize long lists of words or study grammar rules all the time. You just need to practice speaking regularly. Repetition builds muscle memory. It trains your brain and your mouth to work together. Over time, you'll notice that you start speaking more fluently without even thinking about it. Another important aspect of repetition is consistency. It's not enough to practice for a few hours one day and then take a break for a week. You need to make it a part of your daily life. Even if you can only practice for a few minutes each day, it's better to do it every day than to study for a long time just once a week. Remember, small daily actions add up over time. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. In fact, making mistakes is part of the learning process. It's how you improve. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Instead, focus on repeating the process every day. The more you practice, the better you will become. You'll see that little by little, your fluency grows, and English becomes a natural part of who you are. Now that you've created a daily system and started repeating English every day, let's talk about an important factor that many learners struggle with: fear. Fear is often the biggest obstacle to fluency. It's what makes you freeze in conversations, doubt yourself, or avoid speaking altogether. But the good news is that you can overcome this fear. And once you do, you will feel more confident and capable in English than ever before. First, let's understand why fear is such a big issue. Fear is natural. It's a feeling that all humans experience when they face something uncertain or unknown. When you speak English, you are stepping into unfamiliar territory. You're not sure if you'll say the right words or if people will understand you. This fear can create hesitation. It can stop you from speaking altogether, or it can make you second-guess every word you say. But here's the truth. Fear is holding you back, not your ability to speak English. The more you allow fear to control you, the more difficult it will be to become fluent. If you wait for fear to disappear before you speak, it will never happen. You have to speak through the fear. This doesn't mean you should be reckless or ignore mistakes. It means that you need to practice speaking despite feeling nervous. Let me tell you something that may surprise you. Every fluent speaker has felt fear. Even the most confident people feel nervous sometimes when they speak. But they don't let that fear stop them. Instead, they push through it and speak anyway. The difference between them and someone who is stuck is simple: action. If you wait for the perfect moment to speak, or if you wait until you feel completely confident, you will never speak fluently. Confidence comes with practice. The more you speak, the more confident you will become. And the key to speaking is starting. Here's what you can do to overcome fear and build confidence. Start with small conversations. Don't put pressure on yourself to have a perfect conversation. Start by speaking small sentences. Practice asking for directions, ordering food, or simply saying hello. Start with simple tasks where you know the vocabulary. This will help you build confidence slowly. Make mistakes. The fear of making mistakes can be overwhelming, but it's a part of learning. Every time you make a mistake, you're one step closer to improving. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is progress. Embrace your mistakes. learn from them, and keep going. Speak to yourself. One of the best ways to build confidence is to speak to yourself in English. Look in the mirror and talk about your day. Describe what's happening around you. This is an easy way to practice without the pressure of interacting with others. You won't worry about being judged or making mistakes, and you'll become more comfortable with the language. Find a language partner. If you can, try to find someone to practice speaking English with. It doesn't matter if they are fluent or learning, too. The important thing is to practice together, without judgment. This can be a friend, a tutor, or even someone you meet online. Speaking with someone else will help you feel less isolated and more confident. Celebrate small wins. Every time you speak in English, no matter how small the conversation, celebrate it. Acknowledge your effort and your progress. This will help you build positive associations with speaking English, making you more likely to do it again. The fear you feel is normal. It's part of the learning process. But remember, you are not alone in feeling this way. Every learner goes through the same thing. The key is to keep going. Over time, your fear will lessen and your confidence will grow. Now that you've started overcoming your fear and building confidence, let's talk about one more essential factor in becoming fluent in English: consistency. You may have heard the saying, success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. This is absolutely true when it comes to learning a language. The reason most learners struggle to become fluent is that they don't practice consistently. It's easy to get excited about learning and study hard for a few days, but then life gets busy and your motivation fades. Soon, you forget to practice, and the habit starts to slip away. This is where many learners get stuck. They study for a few days, take a break, and then wonder why they don't feel fluent. Fluency doesn't come from studying intensely for a short time. It comes from small actions repeated every day. The key to becoming fluent in English is to make English a regular part of your life, even if it's just for a few minutes each day. Think about it. Every small action you take to practice English builds a foundation for fluency. The more you practice consistently, the more your brain will adapt to the language. Over time, English will become second nature. You won't have to think so hard about the words or the grammar. It will just flow. Here's why consistency is so powerful. It builds momentum. When you practice every day, you create momentum. At first, it might feel like you're not making much progress, but after a while, the results start to show. Small daily actions compound over time, and you'll notice a significant improvement in your speaking, listening, and overall confidence. It creates habit. Consistency turns practice into a habit. When English becomes a habit, it becomes automatic. Just like brushing your teeth or eating lunch, you will do it without thinking. The more you integrate English into your daily life, the less effort it takes to keep practicing. It becomes part of your routine. It makes progress measurable. When you practice consistently, you can track your progress. Each day, you're improving just a little bit. Over time, these small improvements add up, and before you know it, you'll be speaking English more fluently and confidently than you ever imagined. It builds resilience. Learning a language is a long-term journey. There will be days when you feel frustrated or when you don't feel like practicing. But if you make it a habit to practice every day, even when it's hard, you will build resilience. This will help you push through difficult moments and continue making progress. So, how can you stay consistent? It's simple. Set aside time every day to practice English. It doesn't matter if it's 10 minutes or an hour. The important thing is that you practice every day. And remember, you don't have to make every practice session perfect. The goal is to show up every day, put in the effort, and keep moving forward. Here are some tips to help you stay consistent. Set a specific time each day. Decide when you're going to practice English every day and stick to that time. Whether it's in the morning, during lunch, or before bed, consistency is easier when you have a set routine. Make it part of your lifestyle. Find ways to practice English throughout the day, even if you don't have a lot of time. Speak to yourself in English, listen to English podcasts, or watch English videos while doing other tasks. The more you make English a part of your life, the easier it will be to stay consistent. Track your progress. Keep a journal of your English practice. Write down what you've learned, what you practiced, and how you feel. This will help you stay motivated and remind you of how much progress you've made. Set realistic goals. Set small, achievable goals for yourself. For example, decide to learn 10 new words each week or practice speaking for 10 minutes every day. Achieving these small goals will help you stay motivated and keep you on track. Remember, consistency is the secret to success. It's not about working hard for a few days and then stopping. It's about showing up every day and making small improvements over time. If you stay consistent, you will see big results. In the journey toward fluency, one of the most powerful lessons you can learn is that practice is more important than perfection. Too many learners, when faced with a language, become obsessed with getting everything just right. They want to speak perfect English, make no mistakes, and use flawless grammar. However, this pursuit of perfection often leads to frustration, anxiety, and even a lack of progress. The truth is, fluency doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from being consistent and practicing every day, even if your sentences aren't perfect. It's easy to get stuck in the mindset that you need to speak perfectly before you can be confident. But this mindset is counterproductive. If you wait until everything is perfect, you might never speak at all. Fluency comes from using the language regularly, not from achieving perfection. The more you practice, the more comfortable you'll become, and the more natural it will feel to speak English, even if you make mistakes along the way. One of the most common fears learners have is the fear of making mistakes. It's natural to feel this way. Nobody wants to sound foolish or be misunderstood. However, it's important to remember that mistakes are a natural part of the learning process. In fact, mistakes are essential. When you make a mistake, it's an opportunity to learn and improve. Each mistake you make is one step closer to fluency. And each time you speak despite feeling unsure, you build confidence. The key is not to be afraid of making mistakes, but to embrace them as part of your journey. Take, for example, the process of learning to ride a bike. When you first start, you might fall or wobble, but those falls are how you learn to balance. The more you practice riding, the more you improve, and eventually, you can ride without thinking about it. The same goes for English. When you speak, you might stumble over words or make mistakes in grammar. But with each conversation, you're building your speaking muscles, improving your flow, and getting closer to fluency. Let's focus on the importance of taking action over being perfect. Even if you're unsure about a word or a phrase, speak anyway. Don't wait until you feel completely prepared. You will never feel fully prepared, and that's okay. The key is to practice regularly and to speak as much as possible, even when you're not confident. By doing so, you will improve faster and gain more confidence over time. This doesn't mean that grammar or vocabulary isn't important. Of course, understanding how to form correct sentences and knowing the right words is crucial. But the way to improve is not by constantly focusing on perfection, but by speaking as much as possible, learning from your mistakes, and refining your skills bit by bit. By speaking regularly, you'll start to understand English patterns better, and gradually, your grammar and vocabulary will improve. The truth is, you don't need to speak perfect English to be fluent. You need to speak regularly and consistently. As long as you keep speaking, listening, reading, and writing in English every day, your language skills will grow. And over time, fluency will come naturally. Mistakes will become less frequent, your confidence will rise, and you'll find yourself speaking without worrying about every word. So, let go of the idea that you need to be perfect. Instead, focus on the process, not the outcome. Speak as much as you can, make mistakes, and learn from them. By practicing regularly, you will gradually become fluent, and speaking English will eventually feel natural. The more you speak, the less you will fear mistakes, and the closer you'll get to true fluency. In the fast-paced world we live in, we are often conditioned to expect instant results. Whether it's through technology, social media, or the fast delivery of services, we're used to things happening quickly. However, language learning is not something that can be mastered overnight. The process requires patience and a long-term mindset. One of the biggest challenges learners face is the expectation of quick results. Many people start learning English with high hopes of becoming fluent in a matter of months. While progress can certainly be made in a short time, fluency takes time, effort, and consistent practice. It is not a race. The road to fluency is a journey. And just like any journey, there will be ups and downs, periods of rapid progress, and times when it feels like you're not moving forward at all. It's important to recognize that language learning is a marathon, not a sprint. The key to success is not to rush, but to focus on building a solid foundation, practicing daily, and staying patient with yourself. If you expect immediate results, you may become frustrated and give up before you've had the chance to experience the long-term benefits of your hard work. Patience is crucial because learning a language involves many small steps, and each step takes time. For example, when you first start learning English, you might find it difficult to form sentences or understand native speakers. But over time, with regular practice, you'll find that these tasks become easier. Eventually, things that once seemed hard will feel natural. However, if you lose patience and stop practicing, you'll never experience that growth. Patience also allows you to embrace the process rather than just focusing on the end goal. You will learn to enjoy the small victories, understanding a new word, completing a conversation, or watching a TV show in English without subtitles. These small moments of success are what keep you motivated and moving forward. Another reason why patience is so important is that it helps you overcome plateaus. Every language learner reaches a point where progress seems to slow down. This is completely normal and happens to everyone. When you hit a plateau, it's easy to feel discouraged. But if you have patience, you'll understand that this is just a temporary phase. With continued practice, your skills will improve again. To develop patience in your language learning, try to focus on the process, not just the outcome. Celebrate the small improvements, like understanding a new phrase or having a short conversation in English. These small moments add up over time and contribute to your overall progress. Here are some ways to build patience and stay motivated in the long run. Set realistic goals. Instead of expecting to become fluent in a few months, set smaller, achievable goals. For example, aim to learn 10 new words each week or to have a 5-minute conversation in English every day. These smaller goals will keep you motivated and help you stay focused on the process. Track your progress. Keep a journal of your language learning journey. Write down what you've learned each day, even if it's just one new word or a small sentence. Looking back on your progress will help you stay patient and appreciate how far you've come. Enjoy the journey. Focus on enjoying the process of learning English. Watch English movies, listen to music, read books, or speak with friends in English. When you find joy in the learning process, patience will come more easily. Be kind to yourself. It's important to recognize that language learning is not easy, and it's okay to make mistakes. Be patient with yourself, and remember that fluency is built over time, not in a few weeks or months. Patience is the secret to becoming fluent in English. With time and consistent practice, your language skills will grow, and you'll reach a point where speaking English feels effortless. Don't rush the process. Enjoy each step of the journey, and know that fluency is waiting for you at the end. One of the most effective ways to become fluent in English is to immerse yourself in the language. Immersion means surrounding yourself with English as much as possible so that it becomes a natural part of your daily life. This doesn't mean that you need to move to an English-speaking country, but it does mean finding creative ways to integrate English into your environment and daily activities. The more you are exposed to the language, the more you will begin to think, speak, and understand it without effort. The idea of immersion is simple. The more time you spend around English, the faster you will learn. Just like learning to walk or ride a bike, the more you practice, the more your skills improve. Immersion allows you to practice listening, speaking, reading, and writing in English all at once, and it helps you absorb the language naturally. In fact, one of the biggest mistakes many learners make is studying in isolation. While textbooks, grammar exercises, and vocabulary lists are important, they only make up part of the equation. To truly become fluent, you need to experience English in real-life situations. This is where immersion comes in. One way to create immersion in your daily life is to change the settings around you. For example, you can switch your phone and computer settings to English. This small change forces you to use English in your daily tasks, like reading messages, checking emails, or navigating apps. It might be challenging at first, but soon you'll become more comfortable with the vocabulary and phrases that are commonly used in technology. Another powerful method of immersion is watching movies or TV shows in English. Don't just watch with subtitles in your native language. Instead, try watching with English subtitles, or, if you're feeling confident, turn off the subtitles completely. This will help you improve your listening skills and expose you to natural, everyday language. The more you listen to native speakers, the more you will understand their accents, intonations, and expressions. You'll also start recognizing common phrases and slang, which will make your English sound more natural and fluent. You can also immerse yourself by listening to podcasts or audiobooks in English. Choose topics that interest you, whether it's business, history, science, or entertainment. By listening to different accents, styles of speech, and topics, you will improve your ability to understand various types of English. It also provides you with more vocabulary and allows you to hear how words are pronounced in context. In addition, reading books, newspapers, or articles in English is another great way to immerse yourself in the language. If you're a beginner, start with simpler books or even children's books. As you progress, challenge yourself with more complex materials, such as novels, news articles, or academic papers. The more you read, the more vocabulary you'll gain, and the better you'll understand grammar and context. Finally, speaking with others in English is an essential part of immersion. Find people to practice speaking with, whether it's a language exchange partner, a tutor, or even friends who are also learning English. If you don't have anyone to speak with, try speaking to yourself. Describe what you're doing, express your thoughts, or even talk about your plans for the day. The important thing is to practice speaking regularly. The more you speak, the more natural it will feel. Immersion doesn't have to be difficult or expensive. You don't need to go to an English-speaking country or spend hours in class. The key is to surround yourself with English in your daily life as much as possible. With consistent exposure, you'll notice that English begins to feel more familiar. You'll start thinking in English, not translating it in your mind, and speaking will become easier and more natural. When learning a new language, setting goals is essential. However, one of the biggest challenges language learners face is setting goals that are too big, too vague, or simply not achievable in the short term. To make real progress, it's important to set realistic and measurable goals that keep you motivated and on track. By setting clear, achievable goals, you'll be able to stay focused on your learning path and measure your success along the way. The first step in setting realistic goals is to understand the difference between long-term and short-term goals. Long-term goals are your big-picture objectives, like, I want to be fluent in English in 2 years, or I want to be able to have a conversation with a native speaker. While these goals are important, they can feel overwhelming if you only focus on them. It's easy to feel discouraged when the big goal seems far out of reach. This is why it's crucial to break down long-term goals into smaller, short-term goals. Short-term goals are the stepping stones that will help you move toward your bigger objectives. For example, instead of focusing solely on fluency, you could set a goal like, I will learn 20 new words this week, or I will practice speaking for 10 minutes every day. These are specific, measurable goals that you can easily achieve, and each small success will build momentum and motivate you to keep going. A useful method for setting short-term goals is to use the SMART goal framework. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Here's how to apply it to your language learning goals. Specific. Your goals should be clear and focused. Instead of saying, I want to improve my English, say something like, I want to learn 10 new vocabulary words related to food this week. Measurable. Make sure your goal is measurable so that you can track your progress. For example, I will complete 2 English exercises each day is measurable because you can count how many exercises you complete. Achievable. Set goals that are realistic and within your reach. Don't set yourself up for failure by choosing goals that are too difficult. If you're just starting to learn English, a goal like, I will read an entire English novel in 1 week, might be too big. Instead, focus on reading 1 chapter or a few pages at a time. Relevant. Your goal should be meaningful to you. Make sure it aligns with your personal motivations and the reason why you're learning English. If your goal is to improve your speaking skills, set goals around having real conversations or practicing speaking out loud. Time-bound. Set a specific time frame for your goal. Instead of saying, I'll learn 50 words, say, I'll learn 50 words by the end of the month. Having a deadline helps you stay accountable and focused. In addition to setting language goals, it's also important to track your progress. Keep a journal of what you accomplish each week, whether it's a new word you've learned, a conversation you've had in English, or an exercise you've completed. Tracking your progress will help you see how much you've achieved, even when you feel like you're not making fast enough progress. It also provides motivation to keep going, as you can look back and see how far you've come. One of the best ways to stay motivated is to celebrate your small victories. Every time you reach a goal, no matter how small, take a moment to celebrate. This could mean acknowledging your progress, treating yourself to something small, or simply reflecting on how much you've improved. Celebrating achievements helps reinforce positive habits and keeps you motivated to continue reaching your next goal. Remember, language learning is a journey, and it's not about reaching the destination quickly. It's about making consistent progress over time. By setting realistic, achievable goals and celebrating your victories along the way, you'll make steady progress and enjoy the process. In your journey to learning English, one of the most powerful tools at your disposal is your mindset. The way you think about learning, the way you handle challenges, and the way you view your progress can have a huge impact on how successful you are. A positive mindset is crucial for overcoming obstacles, staying motivated, and enjoying the process of learning. It can make the difference between giving up and reaching fluency. So, how can you build a positive mindset that will support your English learning journey? It starts with shifting your perspective on the challenges you face. Many learners become discouraged when they don't see immediate progress or when they make mistakes. But these setbacks are not signs of failure. They are part of the learning process. Every mistake is an opportunity to learn and improve. Embrace mistakes as stepping stones on your path to fluency. One way to develop a positive mindset is to focus on progress, not perfection. It's easy to fall into the trap of comparing yourself to others or trying to be perfect right away. But remember, fluency is not about perfection. It's about progress. Every small improvement you make is a victory. When you learn a new word, complete a conversation, or understand something in English that you didn't understand before, celebrate those victories. Acknowledge how far you've come, even if it feels small. These moments are what will build your confidence and keep you motivated to continue. Another way to maintain a positive mindset is by surrounding yourself with positive influences. This can be through finding a community of learners, seeking support from friends, or consuming content that inspires you. Join online forums, social media groups, or study groups where others are also working toward fluency in English. Having a support network can help you feel connected and motivated, especially when you face challenges. Your mindset also plays a big role in how you handle setbacks. It's important to accept that learning a language is not always a straight path. There will be moments when you feel frustrated, confused, or stuck. During these times, it's easy to feel like you're not improving. But these moments are normal, and they don't define your journey. Instead of letting frustration stop you, remind yourself that growth takes time. When you face challenges, treat them as opportunities to learn something new, not as signs that you're failing. A key part of building a positive mindset is changing the way you talk to yourself. Self-talk has a huge impact on your confidence and motivation. Instead of saying things like, "I'll never be fluent," or "I'm not good at English," try saying, "I'm improving every day," or "I am learning and making progress." Positive affirmations help shift your mindset and remind you that fluency is a long-term goal that requires consistent effort. This shift in self-talk can help you build a sense of self-belief, which is essential for continuing the learning process. Finally, patience is essential in building a positive mindset. It's easy to get discouraged when results don't come quickly, but remember that language learning is a marathon, not a sprint. The key to success is consistency over time. Be patient with yourself and trust the process. If you commit to practicing every day, you will see improvement. But it won't happen overnight, and that's okay. Just keep moving forward and trust that your hard work will pay off. By cultivating a positive mindset, you'll be able to push through challenges, stay motivated during tough times, and truly enjoy your English learning journey. A positive mindset doesn't mean ignoring difficulties. It means approaching them with a growth-oriented attitude. It means believing in your ability to improve and knowing that you have the power to succeed. As you continue on your English learning journey, one of the most important skills to focus on is listening. Many learners tend to focus on speaking, reading, and writing, but listening is equally, if not more, important. It's the foundation for understanding the language, and it plays a crucial role in helping you become fluent. When you listen to English regularly, you expose yourself to natural speech patterns, accents, and intonations. This is important because English, like any language, has its own rhythm and flow. By listening to native speakers, you start to internalize the way words are pronounced and the rhythm of the language. This helps you sound more natural when you speak, as you'll be mimicking the patterns you hear in real-life conversations. Listening also helps improve your vocabulary and pronunciation. The more you listen to English, the more words and phrases you'll pick up. Even if you don't understand everything at first, your brain is constantly processing the sounds and storing new words. Over time, these words will become familiar, and you'll find yourself understanding and using them in conversations. One effective way to improve your listening skills is to listen to content in English every day. This doesn't mean you have to sit down and listen for hours at a time. Even 10 to 15 minutes a day can make a huge difference. You can listen to podcasts, watch movies, listen to music, or even follow YouTube channels that interest you. The key is to listen to a variety of English content so you can expose yourself to different accents, topics, and speaking styles. For example, if you enjoy cooking, you can watch cooking shows in English. If you're interested in technology, you can listen to tech podcasts. Watching movies or TV shows in English is another great way to improve your listening skills while also learning more about culture, slang, and everyday conversation. Start with subtitles if you need them, but try to gradually move toward watching without subtitles as your skills improve. This will force your brain to rely on listening and comprehension alone, helping you become more fluent. Another way to enhance your listening skills is to listen actively. Active listening means paying close attention to the sounds, words, and rhythm of what you hear. Instead of passively listening, where you simply hear words without fully processing them, active listening requires you to focus on the details. Try to understand not just the individual words, but also the meaning behind them, how they are connected, and how they fit into the larger context of the conversation. Listening also teaches you about intonation and stress in English. In every language, there are words and phrases that are stressed differently, and the way a speaker uses their voice helps convey meaning. By listening closely, you can learn where the stress falls in sentences and how it affects the overall meaning. For example, in the sentence, "I didn't say she stole the money," the meaning changes depending on which word you stress. This is something you can pick up through listening practice. One great technique for improving your listening skills is to shadow what you hear. Shadowing means listening to a sentence or phrase and immediately repeating it, trying to match the speaker's rhythm, intonation, and pronunciation. You can start with short phrases and then move to longer sentences. This exercise not only improves your listening, but also helps with your speaking, as you learn to imitate the natural flow of the language. Lastly, be patient with yourself. Listening can be challenging at first, especially when you're not used to the speed or accent of native speakers. But with consistent practice, your skills will improve. Over time, you'll find that listening becomes easier and more intuitive, and your overall fluency in English will grow. Another powerful tool in your language learning journey is reading. Many learners focus on speaking and listening, but reading is a fantastic way to improve your vocabulary, comprehension, and overall fluency. Reading regularly exposes you to new words and sentence structures, helping you understand how the language works and how to use it correctly in different contexts. When you read in English, you're not just learning new vocabulary, you're also reinforcing grammar rules and understanding how words are used in natural sentences. Unlike speaking, where you might be focusing on accuracy and fluency in the moment, reading allows you to absorb the language at your own pace. It's a relaxed way to learn, and it's something you can do at any time, whether it's during your commute, before bed, or while you're taking a break. The first step in making reading a helpful part of your English practice is to choose the right materials. If you're just starting, begin with simple texts, such as children's books, short stories, or beginner-level English books. These texts are written in clear, simple language, and they often include pictures or other cues that help with comprehension. As your reading skills improve, you can challenge yourself with more complex materials, such as novels, newspapers, or magazines. One of the best ways to improve your vocabulary through reading is to read things you enjoy. If you like a certain subject, such as cooking, sports, or travel, look for books, articles, or blogs about that topic in English. When you read about something you're interested in, you're more likely to stay engaged and absorb the material naturally. Plus, you'll learn vocabulary related to topics you already know and enjoy, which makes it easier to remember new words. While reading, try to highlight or note down new words. Don't worry if you don't understand every word right away. It's more important to understand the overall meaning of the sentence or passage. If a word is unfamiliar, look it up, but don't get stuck trying to understand every single word. Focus on understanding the context and the bigger picture. Over time, you'll see how certain words are used repeatedly in different contexts, which will help you remember them better. A great way to make reading more interactive and effective is to read aloud. By doing this, you combine reading with speaking, which helps reinforce pronunciation, fluency, and memory. Reading aloud also helps you practice the rhythm and flow of English, making it easier to speak the language naturally. You can read books, articles, or even short passages, focusing on pronunciation and intonation as you go. This also helps improve your listening skills, as you'll become more familiar with how English sounds when spoken aloud. Reading in context is another important aspect of learning through reading. Instead of just focusing on individual words, pay attention to how words work together in sentences. Understand the meaning of phrases, idioms, and expressions as they are used in context. This helps you understand not only the words, but also the culture and nuances behind the language. Lastly, make reading a daily habit. Even if it's just for 10 or 15 minutes each day, reading regularly will greatly improve your language skills over time. Consistency is key. Over time, you'll notice that your vocabulary expands, your comprehension improves, and you start thinking in English more naturally. One of the most essential aspects of becoming fluent in English is speaking. While listening, reading, and writing are all important, speaking is the skill that allows you to actively use the language. It helps you practice vocabulary, test your knowledge of grammar, and improve your pronunciation. Most importantly, speaking builds confidence. The more you speak, the more natural it becomes, and the more fluent you will become. However, many learners are afraid to speak. They fear making mistakes or being misunderstood. It's common to want to wait until you're more confident or to only speak when you feel ready. But the truth is, the only way to improve your speaking skills is to speak regularly, even if it's just for a few minutes a day. By practicing speaking every day, you'll begin to feel more comfortable and confident in your abilities. One of the most effective ways to practice speaking is to talk to yourself. This may sound strange at first, but it's a great way to get used to using English. You can describe what you're doing, what you see, or how you're feeling. For example, you can say things like, "I am making coffee. It smells nice. I feel happy today because the sun is shining." This may seem simple, but it's a great way to practice vocabulary and build fluency. Speaking aloud also reinforces the words and phrases you've learned, helping them stick in your memory. Another way to practice speaking is by finding a speaking partner. This can be a language exchange partner, a friend, or even a tutor. Speaking with someone else gives you the opportunity to practice real-life conversations, learn new phrases, and get instant feedback. Don't worry if your partner is a beginner too. What matters is practicing regularly. Even just a short conversation will help you build confidence and improve your skills. The more you practice with someone, the more comfortable you will become in real-life situations. If you don't have anyone to practice speaking with, you can join online language groups or forums. There are many platforms where you can connect with other learners or native speakers who want to practice English. These platforms give you the chance to speak with people from around the world and practice your conversational skills. Recording yourself speaking is another great way to improve. When you listen to yourself, you can hear where you need to improve, whether it's in pronunciation, grammar, or vocabulary. This helps you identify areas that need attention and work on them. Try recording yourself speaking about a topic for 1 or 2 minutes. Then, listen to the recording and assess how well you did. This will help you see your progress over time. It's also important to speak about different topics. Don't just stick to the basics. The more varied the topics, the more vocabulary you'll learn. For example, practice speaking about your hobbies, your work, your favorite books, or current events. The more diverse your conversations are, the better prepared you'll be to speak about anything in English. Remember, the goal isn't to speak perfectly. The goal is to speak as much as possible. Don't let the fear of mistakes hold you back. Fluency doesn't come from avoiding mistakes. It comes from making them, learning from them, and continuing to speak. The more you speak, the more natural it will feel. Over time, you'll find that speaking English becomes second nature, and you'll be able to express yourself clearly and confidently. Language learning is a long-term process, and throughout this journey, staying motivated can be one of the biggest challenges. Motivation is what drives us to start and continue our learning, but over time, it can fluctuate. There will be days when you feel excited and ready to study, and there will be days when you feel discouraged and want to give up. The key to success is staying motivated, even when things get tough. One of the most effective ways to stay motivated is to set clear, meaningful goals. When you know exactly what you want to achieve, it's easier to stay focused. Whether your goal is to speak confidently in English, read a book in English, or pass an exam, having a clear goal gives you something to work toward. These goals also serve as a reminder of why you started learning English in the first place. They provide direction and help you measure your progress, making your efforts feel more meaningful. Another important factor in staying motivated is celebrating small victories along the way. Language learning is a gradual process, and it's easy to get discouraged if you only focus on the end goal. However, it's important to recognize and celebrate the small steps you take toward fluency. Maybe you learned 5 new words today, had a short conversation in English, or read a chapter of a book without needing to look up every word. These are all achievements worth celebrating. Acknowledge your progress and give yourself credit for your hard work. You can also stay motivated by reminding yourself of the reasons why you want to learn English. Think about how English can open doors to new opportunities, whether in your career, travel, or personal life. Maybe you want to be able to connect with people from different cultures or understand movies and music in their original language. Whatever your reasons are, keep them in mind, as they will keep you motivated even when the going gets tough. Another way to maintain motivation is by making learning fun. If you treat language learning as a chore, it's easy to lose interest. Instead, find ways to make it enjoyable. Watch movies or TV shows in English that you love, listen to music in English, or play language learning games. The more enjoyable you make the process, the more likely you'll stick with it. Engage with the language in a way that feels natural and fun, and it will become easier to stay motivated. Joining a community of like-minded learners is also a great way to stay motivated. Whether it's an online group, a study partner, or a language exchange, being part of a community can provide support, encouragement, and accountability. When you connect with others who share your goals and struggles, you'll feel less isolated and more motivated to continue your learning journey. You can share your progress, ask for advice, and celebrate achievements together. Lastly, remember that motivation comes from action. The more you practice, the more motivated you'll feel. Even when your motivation is low, try to keep up with small, consistent actions, such as listening to a podcast or practicing vocabulary. Once you start, you'll often find that your motivation comes back. The key is not to wait for motivation to come before you start. Take action, and motivation will follow. Fluency in English is not something that happens overnight. It's the result of continuous effort, patience, and determination. By setting clear goals, celebrating progress, making learning fun, and finding support from others, you can stay motivated throughout your journey. Keep going, and remember that every small step you take brings you closer to your goal.